Welcome back to HGC North America, where Team Freedom and B-Step are facing off and are tied 1-1 in our series. B-Step came out ahead in game number 1, but Team Freedom showing that they understood how to adapt and deal with the double support, double warrior team fight composition that a lot of people have been running here in North America.
Yeah, it's awesome to see a team have an answer to what looked like it was going to be a new forming meta. That being said, it wasn't the norm of the double support, double warrior. Leoric isn't necessarily one we see very often in that composition, but Gul'dan could be, the start of the change of the meta.
Yeah, it at least got them through that particular iteration,
Yep.
and that was a Battleground versus Naventic where B-Step had drafted double warrior, double support. So obviously, again, we know that Team Freedom, we know that everybody is doing their homework, but Team Freedom has shown it before where they know where they're going to be taken, what they're going to be looking to draft against. So that was a high priority. And of course, Gul'dan is a great pick on Infernal Shrines anyway.
Yeah, it is. And it's going to be exciting to see where we go on the second map. And if the drafts change a little bit, I do think with time we'll phase out of this double warrior, double support for both of North America and even Europe. I think it will kind of fall out, but it is the very forgiving composition for now on any of the maps that it can be ran. I think it makes a lot of sense as why we see it, but
speaking of Battleground, we're ready to reveal what game number 3 will be going to. And B-Step losing the last game gives them the choice of either first pick or Battleground choice. They chose first pick, so Team Freedom goes to a comfort of Towers of Doom.
this makes a lot more sense. We're 3 games deep and we didn't see a Dragonshire. That feels more North America. Part 1, the fact that we see more common maps and we're going to towers. What was so prominent in North America during part 1. I'm excited. I feel like we have to see the change that we saw in game number 1, even though they lost with it. The fact they went with the fall set really helped their drafting. More concern with that is going to be needed here. I am afraid that the game number 1, Freedom took the changes, the criticism we've given, how stubborn they can be in a draft, and then they lost. And then game 2, they resorted more to what they knew, and they were successful. I can't help but feel like that means for the rest of the series, they will be naturally leaning more towards their comforts rather than, again, focusing on the draft.
I'm not worried about them here, though, because Towers of Doom, out of all of the Battlegrounds that they played versus Superstars, was probably the most innovative and different of drafts they brought out. Double Arthas with Abathur, and then a new Barak,
That's
too,
a good point.
with Lunara. So I think, obviously, B-Step has noted that because we did see them ban Abathur on Cursed Hollow versus Team Freedom, and we know B-Step, they're the old members of Cloud9. They are not on Cloud9 whenever they have to play versus Abathur. We have known them for a long time to hate playing versus that split push strategy.
Yeah, they absolutely despise it, really. Some of the members. Tassadar was removed. Do we see the Zarya banned out? Is it let through? B-Step banning out the Tassadar even in the first pick slot. Not something they did really ever. It's not very common to see them do that, but it doesn't matter. Bans are going to stick this norm. I was wondering what that might kind of allude to when it comes to the strategy and what they prioritize, but B-Step has the option for the mouth. Do they still take it, or do they go into more focus on a global?
In part 1, they were first picking Zeratul, adjusting, still picking a melee hero, that melee flex, but now getting Dahaka. That has seemed to be more and more a priority for B-Step.
Yeah, all of North America to consider how many globals do we have. It seems like every team now has kind of forfeited it, and they're like, we get it. Globals are strong, and they are a little bit hard to run at times, but when coordinated even above average, they can, again, forgiveness is what makes good compositions at the professional level.
Give it to me. I want to see the Arthas. Arthas mouth. So not getting Abathur, which may force B-Step to just ban Abathur if
I
they
think
don't
they
want
will. We've seen a lot of teams in North America now on Towers of Doom suddenly fear the Abathur. So it makes a lot of sense that it would be banned out in the next rotation for B-Step. But first, the picks. Do they value the Lucio high enough to pick it here, or do they wait it out? Still no global up for B-Step because they already have one global, and they typically would want to ban the next. Now they have to ask themselves, what? Oh, man. But if you pick the false head, then they can move into the Zeratul. And if you want to rid of the support, B-Step has a lot of actually really awkward questions they have to answer in these next 2 picks now. just based on the fact that you don't want to take the false set here and then not ban out a Zeratul and run the double global game. But then, again, if you want to rid of the support on top of it and you want to ban out the Lucio, or we were suggesting a ban that obviously off the top of my head can't think of right now.
Abathur.
There we go. You can't rid of them all. So they go with the Murden and they go with the false set. So now you have to say, do you want to rid of the Abathur or do you want to rid of the Zeratul more? And I say Zeratul. I'd give up the Abathur with a double global. You can play the macro game into an Abathur Arthas.
Yeah.
It'll be hard, but it's possible. Zeratul getting picks left and right, and the time he buys for Arthas and the synergy with Malfurion means I would be banning the Zeratul over the Abathur, but I feel like it's just going to be snap Abathur and walk away.
They're thinking about it. Is there anything else?
I'm going to say yes, just based on the fact that every North American team likes to, you know, kind of rustle the old jimmies. But Abathur was the choice. Zeratul, I want to see picked up now for Freedom, and I think it counters what they're trying to do. So, like, the reason why I suggest this for anybody who doesn't kind of understand the thought process is that double global into an Abathur is a soft counter to everything Abathur does already. He has to play more safe. He gets infinite less value. He will still be a problem, but it's not that big of a problem. What double global doesn't do is stop the fact that Zeratul is so good into the Falstad itself. So it's just that the B-Step has drafted a comp that makes more sense to rid of any kind of direct counter. Zeratul can side soak for free the entire game, and then also get the picks onto Falstad and whatever other squishy you have.
Freedom drafted Zeratul. They could not get their new Barak, although with that pick, I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be Tyrael.
The last pick makes a lot more sense to move into a Tyrael now, with the Greymane especially.
I like that pairing of Greymane Lunara.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Illidan Lunara, you know,
Yeah.
just anything you can do to slow to enable Greymane. Honestly, Arthas is always my, you know, go-to slow. Anytime you have him on a team, I don't think it's needed, but yeah, you are right. The utility it provides to be able to enable Greymane to be that much more successful and offensive.
It lets Lunara be more passive if she wants to get Thornwood Vine.
Yeah.
Instead, she doesn't have to be the one who executes with Leaping Strike. Greymane can even maybe get one of those kills just off of a cocktail if he builds into that, but go for the throat too. But besides that, with Arthas there, Executioner, again, Greymane gets a huge power spike at level 16. Even maybe unfair advantage if Lunara wants that at 13.
That talent name is really deceiving, because when you said that Greymane is going to do really well with his power spike at 16, and you said it may be an unfair advantage. See, that's how I interpret that sentence.
My bad.
No, it's a good point you bring up, though. The Nazebo for B-Step.
Poison
And that
versus
there's the
poison.
Anubarak. You don't even look at the Tyrael anymore. Well, you should. Both of them fill a different role, both anti-mage. What works better for the comp? Definitely Tyrael. He's a lot harder to run, but Anubarak is more straightforward, and what I would say Freedom is more comfortable with, again, based on it's not nearly as team synergy, teamwork oriented. So what I guess I'm trying to say is I want the Tyrael, but I feel like we're going to get an Anubarak, and I think it makes more sense.
24 seconds to solve the puzzle of this Nazebo pick in the end. Also, Rhaegar, support choice, a lot of mobility for APM.
And now it comes out. I'm so tilted.
Where's our tilt jar? It's coming back.
I don't have my wallet on me today. I can't.
I
There's
think
there's
you've
some
put
peanuts
enough
back
in here. Yeah, you could dump the peanuts in. It's probably about as much as in your wallet, but bam!
But
I don't really know if that was an insult.
you effectively use your bank account. Rats! Way to go. It's modern banking in 21st century. You don't keep paper cash on you all the time. What was that?
I don't know.
I respect your effort, though. The tilt jar's out. It's there. But, okay, so...
Why are you tilted by Zeratul?
The Zeratul, okay, so, like, it made sense. I talked about why it made a lot of sense to see it picked up. So why would I be upset with, when it's like, well, this makes a lot of sense, and then we see it so late, is because it didn't make sense after seeing the next 2 picks. It just made no sense to move into a direction of a Zeratul into a double warrior without a wombo combo focus. Like, you pick the Zeratul, he's your second melee, and then you look to find yourself with a more survivable backline of any kind. Greymane still works out really well here, but I would have put somebody other than the Lunara. And you wouldn't pick it that high up because you need to flex that last pick unless things get out of hand in a draft. It just felt like weird order, weird priority across the board, and then when you look at those next 2, then you don't go, okay, now I need the Tyrael into my opponent's, or you need the Tyrael into your opponent's. Zeratul, it will buy a little bit of time still, but you don't want to bank on him as that defensive. You should be using him offensive, and they need somebody else to support. It's frustrating to see it fall at that point in the draft for Freedom.
Yeah, and we talked about the late game possibilities that Team Freedom has, but B-Step has a lot of good late game aspects of their own. Obviously, Nazebo, once he gets Violent Infection and gets all of his stacks, he is a terror to deal with, and it's just Malfurion trying to keep these 3 squishy heroes alive, plus Arthas, who has his own self-sustainability. But then once you get the globals going everywhere too, Muradin, man, the biggest diver on Muradin seems to be King Caffeine, who could just jump in and try to solo people, and it'll be hard for Team Freedom to try to stop that. But maybe Void Prisons, as long as the Void Prisons are key, and being able to do that will be the ticket.
It's got to be, really. It's just, the one thing for me is, like, when we look at how we can expect these team fights to kind of start when looking at the composition, or, like, you're dancing around forever, Nazebo's going to outpoke you. So at some point you're like, well, we got to try and force the fight. If you force that with offensive Void, your health bars are still going to be really, really low. You're banking on Malfurion, Twilight Dream to get a kill. But you could, again, with, like, for instance, a Tyrael, you can play that offensive, but then you can also play it defensive and be okay. The minute you have to Void offensively, which Poison forces you to do, really early, faster than you would like to, it puts you in a position to where you no longer really get to choose optimal fights. Every time the B-Step initiates on to the composition that we see on the other side of Freedom, it's fine. As long as the Void is used properly, they can counter-initiate all day. But the minute that they have to answer, which is going to be late game, Nazebo, she will force you to be like, okay, when do you want to try and fight? Because you either die now or you die after you open up. And that is why I really dislike that Zeratul over, like, a Tyrael in that position.
Well, it's B-Step's double global versus the Zeratul pick at the end for Team Freedom. Let's see who takes game number 3 on Towers of Doom.
I need you to say nice things because I just went on a 5-minute rant about how upset I am. That's what you do. You see, you're the sugar and spice. I'm the everything that's not so nice of this duo. All right?
I don't know if I've ever heard it so succinctly put.
Yeah.
All right. There's just a lot of blow up for Team Freedom. But I do feel like they have to never, like, just not get behind, right? They need to make sure that they are continuing to get those picks.
Every composition you build with the expectation of being ahead is usually a bad composition. This isn't as desperate. It's not like a we can't win unless we're ahead on the side of Freedom. It's just, again, I do think that if they are not very, very dominant and it makes it a late game on even footing, B-Step pulls miles ahead.
But it is one of Freedom's best battlegrounds, and those are some great routes to catch McIntyre, who this time is going to be playing Dahaka. So the switch over, K1 Pro playing Nazebo, that may be an issue for B-Step to try to switch and flex so far around. If McIntyre is more used to playing range, goes back over to melee. Only time will tell.
Yeah, that's really just amazing to see. Mac casually on backline for 2. Now you have a Dahaka double warrior, but they needed a Nazebo player. So K1 just goes, I got this, like, don't mind me. Which is even weirder when looking at the this original roster and who played on what, because the Nazebo, or all melees would have been iDream, and then K1 Pro would have been ranged for almost every single game. McIntyre originally would have been only the melees. It's just so confusing and back and forth here, and it's led to mixed results too.
Yeah, it does feel like it has taken B-Step a long time to figure it out.
Whatever it may be.
The identity, I think, is the best way to put it. Just, like, who's going to be playing what? What do we feel comfortable on? How do we want to engage? Do we want to play super aggressive? Do we want to play really macro-oriented? They've switched things up so much throughout part 1, and on one hand, I can see the understanding of like, hey, we're going to take our time with this. We are going to figure out what's best for us. But on the other hand, as a fan of these players, it's sometimes a little infuriating, right? Like, I'm ready to see the potential unleashed of these players.
Oh, well, there it is. With that burrow, McIntyre getting the drag on a collusion, and they are going to get the kill. You ask and you shall receive, Gilly, but Freedom quickly is going to be able to turn the beginning half of this fight. Howling Blast from Zugrug only landing that APM. He's going to be able to scoot right on out of there. As I learned earlier, it's a 12 out of 10 doggo, and he can pretty much survive anything.
Sometimes 13 even, on a good day, a good hair day. Nobody yet stopping APM. Insomnia jumps in with a Singularity Spike, but is met with McIntyre, who is slowly bursting him down. He gets out, thanks to some slows from Nasmus.
And that two-man Howling Blast, the root follow-up. Man, they say you should be afraid of, you know, the fire and ice. Oh, wait, this channel, Max Range, Elun's Grace, Moonburn. This is not today, Caffeine. And this is going to be the first advantage going over to Freedom. They've managed to get 4 kills here, getting 4 extra shots. Things starting out well. Experience is to follow up.
Yeah, it's a good start. Howling Blast again. Just building up that quest talent. We've seen the benefits of once you can get that max range in the root of everybody in its path too.
It's actually kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, that
how
quest
insane.
is good.
Yeah, it's, you know, everybody saw the passive level 1 right at the beginning. They're like, this scales infinitely. And you're like, yeah, but think about how you have like a 3/4 Stitcher's hook that does 15 armor reduction post 13 to everyone it touches. Like,
Yeah, but the passive, once you get Frostborn Feeds, the double, man, you can just wreck, obliterate
okay, that's
a
true.
health
That's
bar.
true. Double passive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, when you get that scaled up real good.
I like to play that build sometimes. It's pretty fun.
I like to do the same thing too, but I usually do it on like heroes that type of build's better on. Like, I don't know, Murden. See, that was a 6 stab. Ooh, got you with that perfect storm meme and rewind. Did you hit me with it? No? No respect. All right.
Oh, here. I didn't even know you were trying to get a fist bump. I was too busy hating my life.
No, I know.
Nice
I honestly, that was more of a meme than being an honest, like, analytical perspective. I mean, I obviously do like what I was told. This is Korean Arthas build, but I don't feel like I totally can give credit to them because he wasn't like reworked long enough to be like, oh no, that was the Korean build. You know, they were the only ones running it for so long.
This one power spikes faster. To be true, at level 13 instead of 16 once you can get Frostborn Feed. So it makes sense.
And even then, it's less dependent on the level 1 being good, right? So you have to pretty much passively hit everyone all game, and then you suddenly become terrifying. Whereas you could just throw out a couple of spells here and there, and then, you know, power spike 3 levels earlier.
Altar spawning in a few seconds. Blink away from the Storm Bolt.
It's a bit flashy from Insomnia.
Yeah. Flashier still, if they can get this channel. There's no heroic advantage, no talent advantage. They're trying to just throw their faces at King Caffeine so that he can't stop the channel, and it worked.
Yeah, he gets that. Collusion actually dropped a root. Could have ended up hitting it, but did not. Zugrug has the Howling Blast. There's the juke, but the auto attack, speed buff, debuff. The slow, it looks like McIntyre will, oh man, lose his life, but it's what cost.
Splintered Spear, so good. 1 for 1 as Zeratul goes down. Nasmus will continue to keep this lane pushed. Both teams pretty focused on getting their own sappers, but we saw Team Freedom be more focused as well on the top sappers too, trying to get towers down in multiple lanes so that later game, you know, they can start to play the bell tower game more efficiently and faster, especially if they can continue to win these engagements as they have been. They're well on their way to heroic abilities and still continuing to maintain a lead in core health.
Oh man, Greymane, terrifying. That was just one rotation of spells into a fall stab. I do want to commend Freedom for their performance, not only so far in this game, but just with the changes on the draft. You know, this is like day and night, and
I'm not shushing you.
no, it's a tense moment. He's dead. Oh, I thought for sure he'd eat one more rotation of spells. Never mind.
Tahaka though, McIntyre, does he see Insomnia? Nope, there's sappers there to stop him. Anyway, you were saying, commending Freedom.
I was, yeah, just compliment on the adjustments when it comes to their priority of heroes. And just, I gave them so much for crap, really, just for being stubborn. I just, you know, giving them that and just being like, you know, this team doesn't really seem to be mixing things up, but here in the second week of Part 2, they have. Their drafts are pretty different than what we had seen from them before, and I just didn't think they would be experienced enough to put that aside and be like, you know what, it was draft, we need to make changes in here and compositions, because we have to remember this is still one of the youngest teams in all of HGC.
But I think that factor alone helps them be able to make sure that they don't have egos.
They don't have the patterns either. You know, it's not harder to break. K1 Pro takes some damage from the flank of Insomnia. We still have whatever the Dahaka player is this game still up in top.
Collusion starting to channel. King Caffeine's going to walk in, but has taken a bunch of damage from the spiders. Has to use Avatar. Void in the back. Calf trying to move back into it. Gust on several to make sure there's no follow-up. But still, Team Freedom controls the point.
McIntyre realizes he is in a bit of a tizzy here. Collusion finishes the channel. 4 shots moving up. K1 Pro. Ancestral lands at the last fraction of HP, but McIntyre now wishing he had it. There goes the drag. Beautiful amount of CC reduction coming on to Zugrug.
Army of the Dead was already down. Somehow B-Step have been able to sustain it through this fight, and you gotta hand it to APM, as well as King Caffeine, who landed the Stormbolt to get the Gray main kill. Meridian goes down. It's a 4 for 3 in B-Step's favor.
Once again, those, you know, max range, barely alive Stormbolts lands there for King Caffeine, making sure that if it costs him his life, it costs, you know, the opponents one of theirs. And they're going to go even. Oh, man. Both teams going to get the sappers, it looks like. But no team is going to look for any kind of pressure elsewhere. With the global only existing on, you know, the side of B-Step, I just really felt like they would get more pressure here on certain parts of the map. They've just kind of rotated, you know. We see McIntyre going for big plays, trying to follow up on the stuns that King Caffeine's landing onto Collusion, getting those channels. But it's just they're half second away from one another in the timing. And I don't know if that's because, again, forcing McIntyre to flex. He has no ult.
Yeah, there's no adaptation. He's just going to brush stock away.
Just far enough. He's going to be fine.
What would you have liked to have seen happen once B-Step won that fight? Just immediately push down a bell tower at that bottom lane?
Just further the experience, because that is going to add up more than anything else, and you can just split up your globals as fast as possible, get the pressure out. Minions are going to be the most experienced at this point in the game. Even getting bell towers, they're most of the time at this point going to get easily converted. So you look at more of just like what adds up for the later parts of the game, what can set us farther ahead and be able to end other than just a miraculous team fight.
Zugrug wants to step in, but Zombie Wall will contain him, maybe long enough for APM.
Oh,
Howling
man.
Blast hits him, but it's not in time. So trading out on shots, finally B-Step gets 4 more shots. Still a huge advantage in core health for Team Freedom, but B-Step, an important point, and especially because they are starting to feel like they're at the tipping point for winning team fights the further we're going on based on the last one. But one thing I wanted to mention is that I love that Team Freedom has been so focused on the top sappers again, because if that's the place where Dahaka wants to brush stock back in and push the lane, it's always pushed back a little bit more because Freedom has been so consistent in getting those.
That is a really, you know, strange thing that we do see. Some teams putting more emphasis up on top and neglecting bottom, whereas the general consensus is definitely bottom's better, right? Double sapper. But with Dahaka compositions, maybe it is worth the focus up on the top over bottom. Some teams, it feels like they agree.
Yeah, it's just, if they can keep those consistently, then they make sure that they buy some time before the globals start to be a problem and even put some damage on it. And again, the follow-up is Dahaka goes top, and it's always Greymane and Zeratul who immediately come in to answer. If they get a pick, great. Otherwise, they push Dahaka back. That doesn't net Freedom a lot themselves in fights. Nice. Roots catch fall stab, but he gusts away.
He did gust away, but everybody should be fine escaping through this choke. And Zugrug now with the army used Howling Blast as well. He's going to be just fine. Nobody on the side of Freedom is under any pressure. They still have Void. McIntyre looks like he's going down. No, he does keep himself up with that Ancestral, but that's a 4-man Void. The big Root, the 5-man Twilight Dream, and good night, B-Step, just getting wrecked here by Freedom.
And it's not done yet. Insomnia and Zugrug body blocking. K1 Pro. Insomnia is taking some of that fort damage, but still A-okay. And in the worst time possible, B-Step loses 3. They lose both of their globals. They're going to lose one of these altars. Greymane is rushing up. So is Muradin and APM to try to stop. Zugrug's there too. Stormbolt didn't hit! Stormbolt didn't hit, but Dwarf Toss does.
Dwarf Toss does, so that buys a bit of time. Zeratul looks like he's going to the upper right channel. Oh man, that bell tower is not going to be converted in time, so that was all 4 shots. Collusion's going to start this cap. Will the... Oh, is that bell tower not going to get capped? He's trying to wait it out, but I don't think
he had the poison on it, but no.
He doesn't.
Oh, okay, well, some minions are going in, but Freedom are so far ahead of the curve, a level and a half in advantage, that they just want to make sure that they can get the altar and not fight over it. And where do they go after that? Immediately back to top sappers.
I really thought they were going to force a boss directly after. It's pretty easy to expect that within the next 45 seconds, B-Step would try and collapse onto bottom and convert that bell tower, which is right now. And with the 16 power spike, it's then that you would expect a team to just instantly boss. But Freedom's going to wait it out. They would rather keep up in the experience here, not try and force anything. That is a weird middle ground to walk on when you are a team ahead, is you often have to ask yourself, what objectives I dream.
Cap's there.
He's dead. No way.
Oh, Dansky. Okay, Dansky is going to get the kill where maybe wasn't going to happen. Here comes the rest of the team. Zugrug steps on top. Twilight Dream gets this. No, it does go down, as well as Arthas there too. I thought maybe that was stalled out. Somehow 4-man, B-Step are hanging in at least a little bit. Zebo getting taken down though. Greymane as well. Insomnia chases APM back to the kill zone to get that kill too, and Zugrug just sitting happily on top of the 2 melee of B-Step.
Conveniently, Arthas is 1v2ing the entire fight while everyone else is dying. He's just like, yeah, thanks for hanging out with me over here. Oh, that root!
Mac, no, King Caffeine.
Zugrug! No! He goes down! They had everything going for them. And then he just went and died. That is going to actually set them behind.
Miscalculation from Zugrug, to be sure. It's a 3v3 with a bell tower advantage. Altar's way in the bottom lane though, and there's no globals for Freedom, so Falstad's in position faster.
Freedom is not going to get these shots. And they didn't capture the boss. We'll see. One altar is a winning trade here for Freedom. Not just based on experience and everything else, but legitimately just numbers of men and not having the globals. Falstad starts the channel. Dahaka's alive 5 seconds before Arthas even gets into a position to move through the portal.
Yeah, they backed so they could take the tunnel. Insomnia's still there. He's on the back.
He's stuck. He's stuck in the zombie wall. He couldn't disengage out.
There goes Greymane. This might be the moment that B-Step starts the miracle comeback. All they had to do was push Freedom away. They'll be happy to take the altar, but still it was only 3 shots because of that top bell tower.
B-Step is still now you boss. I swear, sometimes I'll just never understand.
Do you want this tilt jar?
No, I just will. Remember when I brought up to you the thought process of how you can gauge decision making, and when you put every decision you made in a game on when you could have made it in every variation of it, and if you ever make the decision later when you have a worse advantage than when you made it when you had a stronger one, like then it's obvious, hey, we shouldn't be doing this type of situation. That's exactly what we just experienced, right? Is like when you take a minute to think about, was that, oh.
Timeout. Can Zugrug get here in time? He's trying to. Collusion as well. Has a root. Moves in. Twilight Dream. Rhaegar's eliminated. That's 1 kill so far. iDream and King Caffeine here too. McIntyre in the back line would love to get the kill on Collusion, but he's losing so much in health. At least gets in with the self-heal. But it's going to get taken out as a dive back in.
Oh, that's a 2 for 2. Quickly going to be a 3 for 2. Caffeine. Or 3 for 3. So it's even. We're fine. What?
That was a bloodbath.
Just happened. I had no expectations of that initiation, and just the casual void, let's go. Really good focus.
And Arthas was like, hey guys, if you would like me to be there, I need you to bust me out of the zombies. Zombies are supposed to be on my side. It's called Army of the Dead. Zombie versus zombie warfare.
Yeah. It's all about the afterlife.
Speaking of zombies.
That's going to be, what are we looking at? What are we left with after what we just experienced
All right,
here?
8 to 22 core health, 20, just about there either side. So that'll be a wash. No one has that huge advantage. One altar.
One-man advantage. Man, if APM goes down, Totem will buy him time. One-man advantage for B-Step for a small window. Might be enough of a window. Flash didn't delay. Thornwood did. Stormbolt used.
Arthas goes to the
is
tunnel.
here. Can he get it? He will. All right, so no man advantage once Zeratul goes through this little portal.
Void Prison's now available.
Oh.
McIntyre's starting to channel.
Oh, he bolted for it just to get the delay.
Collusion delays it. It's the big team fight of the century with both teams, all 5, Army of the Dead to start.
Oh, but already Insomnia has zoned so much off of the Falstad there that he is nowhere to be found. 3 shots are moving in slowly on bottom with the Sappers. We'll let you know if those end up connecting, but that's on the side of Freedom. So 1, 2, 3. 3 shots made it in. Still 19 left to focus on. Look at Insomnia flanking K1 right there, waiting for the right moment to go in. There it is.
Ice block.
Not going to force the ice block. Got the Ancestral.
There's the ice block going to be 2 as Collusion tried to move in for Twilight Dream. Muradin, the first takedown with Void Prison hitting the back line.
Dude, Dansky just wants a team to follow, man. He is looking to battle anytime his team gets ahead. He's so very aggressive there. But Zugrug's so low, questioning if he can move up.
All heroics down.
There's going to be a tap for 2 members, Greymane and Arthas. Mana and health regen coming in. B-Step. There's a Howling Blast K1 Pro with not anything left.
Set up by Nasmus too with the slows, roots to follow, and McIntyre's not going to make it out alive. That is going to be 4 kills with all members of Team Freedom left. Going to start burning down this bell tower, trying to make sure to maximize the amount of shots grabbed through the altar.
They can even capture their own. With Rhaegar alone, I mean, Rhaegar Muradin cannot stop this channel for very long. So you have, in theory, 40 seconds. What is the best thing you could do versus a warrior and support in 40 seconds?
They maybe could have gotten mid.
I expected mid and bottom right.
Yeah.
Just wait it out. And now they are going to escort through bottom.
No, they're going for the 6 cap because minions on bottom.
Man. This, I'll be honest, the last 3 minutes of this game for Freedom has made my brain really, really hurt.
Work.
We can use the word work, but like, the boss one, that one's situational. That one is more of like a, hey, we'll look around. So let's put it this way. When everyone just died, legitimately, oh, Freedom getting caught out here. Nasmus dropping down, but shots are going to be ticking in towards the core.
He put the hurt on iDream, though. Dansky is going to just jump right on in. On a cleanse from Collusion
It's
2.
over.
Ancestral Healing was used. Twilight Dream. Team Freedom keeping a hold of all 6 of the bell towers. 2, only 1 shot left. Void Prison.
No way. They didn't. Gazebo got mid.
Things are getting hairy in this game.
That was, what? I've never seen a team just, like, they still lose, right? But, like, I just didn't think there was any situation where Nazebo could do that on his own. K1 Pro with the Nazebo build just casually takes mid.
Well, there's a boss up. Only Lunara down. 30 seconds still for...
There's no heroics, though. Nazebo could poke off at this with Cap. These are the best 2 you could ask for in this position. But he's got to get damage onto the back line, not the front. Yeah, not enough threat to the back. This should be it.
He's going to give it all she's got. King Caffeine dives onto the point. He's taken out. K1 Pro will do the same. To his demise, Team Freedom takes game number 2 on Towers of Doom. This is 3. Game number 3. It's been a series.
It, in fact, is in the middle of a series.
That game got crazy.
It did. It got a little weird, and not always in the best way. We have crazy games where it was like, and we have other crazy games where it's just kind of like, you know, that was just, you didn't expect it to take that kind of a turn, and that's what I felt like a lot of that game was. It just, man, I'm not going to be able to get over this. It just, okay, so the very moment I wanted to talk about the most was when they get the full 5-man, not full 5-man, they technically get a 3-man wipe, 4-man wipe, one person's about to spawn, which is going to be Murden, and Rhaegar is the only person left standing. You have legitimately whatever you want to do for 40 seconds on the map. They decide they want to capture one altar, and they want to capture 5 or 4 of the bell towers on the map.
Yeah. But not
wait on the shot.
Yeah.
Even though they're going to capture all 4. There wasn't a boss play. There wasn't a triple sapper power play. They went for a sapper onto the side, didn't look for the escort of those shots for the 40-second advantage. They then captured the altar before capturing the rest of the bell towers, which would have executed the game and not had the trickle-in shots from the beginning. It just, there was a lot of like, no, this all is right. You're winning the game. You're making it, but it's just the think about like we made a choice and then we made this choice, and why would you not swap them around in terms of timing? It's just, it's one of those nitpicky things that maybe it's a shot caller like pet peeve I have, where it's just like it makes no sense to do this in that order, but I've just never seen a team do it twice that heavily, back to back in the same game, where I'm like, you're making the right choices, but it just, if you do this in a different order, the outcome's a lot better for you.
But those are those kind of late game situations that teams with not a ton of experience in the competitive scene, you don't know how to deal with them until you're in them, until you're just like sitting in them. And Team Freedom is our youngest team here in HGC.
That is a good point, because one thing that a lot of people don't understand from learning to shot call is legitimately until you get in every situation, you just don't know the answer. You can freestyle all you want, which is why the experience can be so valuable in that role. But you can just be like, well, everything else that I've learned has told me this is the right choice, but whether or not it is, until you truly get to see how it plays out, and then feel what was the actual problem. Like maybe you made the right call, but execution was poor, whatever it may be. That is with time.
Yeah.
And so that's a good point.
And importantly, they still got the win. So they're going off of that from the win. They can go back and look at that replay later on and say, okay, we could have made these changes to more dominantly win, but even so, Team Freedom now 2-1 over B-Step. A great position for them since they did lose the series versus them in Part 1. We will take a break. As always, we come back and we'll see if Team Freedom can get their first victory in Part